There once was a man named Gold Roger who was king of the pirates. He had fame, power, and wealth beyond your wildest dreams. Before they hung him from the gallows, these were the final words he said.
Our perspective is yours for the taking, but you'll have to join us first. We left everything we debated at the Yonkō Table.
Ever since, pirates from all over the world set sail for the Grand Line, searching for the Yonkō Table, the table that will make their dreams come true.
Yo!
Yo. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the latest edition of the Yonkō Table. That's right. That's the voice of GrandMasterHoop you hear. I am taking the reins of this episode. But, of course, with me, there is always my fellow Yonkō, DrJaceAttorney. Dr. Jace, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. I am excited to speak on the movie that is taking the world by storm in positive and negative ways. And I'm hyped. I'm hyped here to talk about this movie in the MCU, which I don't think you mentioned what it is yet.
I haven't yet. I did that on purpose.
Okay.
Oh, no. I'll go ahead and mention it now. We are deep diving the 26th film in the MCU, Eternals, Marvel's Eternals. And boy, oh boy, we'll have a lot to talk about. And I'm sure it could be pretty divisive, but you know, what's a Yonkō Table podcast recording without fellow Supernovas joining the table today? So up first, we have DoctaReeka. DoctaReeka, how are you doing this morning?
I'm well, a little tired, but I'm excited to talk about the film. Like you said, it was a bit divisive, so I'm sure there will be plenty for us to speak on.
I'm sure. And if you want to ever mediate some of this, go ahead and do so. Okay. Up next, we got Toasty. Toasty, how you doing today?
You know how it is. Always tired, but I'm doing great this morning. Excited to talk about this movie, which I thought was pretty good. Well, okay, but whatever.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
There goes one, I think. Okay. I'm gonna wait until we get into it to say whose side I'm on. But last but not least, we have TevintheFifth. TevintheFifth, it's been a while. How you doing?
I'm pretty good. Happy to be here again. Angelina Jolie's a superstar, but let's carry on. I'm ready.
Already rolling the dice. I like it.
I see. Yeah, right.
Superstar, huge, big.
My background adds to that notion right there. I have to agree with that. But you know, we'll get to her. I think we have a couple of bullet points covering Angelina Jolie's greatness. But yeah, let's go ahead and kick things off. You know, this is the 26th film in the MCU, and here we are, 26 films in, and you know, we did our MCU tier list last week, and it's crazy that this is the first film to fall below 60%. It is currently at a 48%. That's quite the drastic drop for an MCU film. That's why I went to go see the movie myself. And I don't think it necessarily falls in that rating. I think they're being a little harsh on the film. But this film is not without flaw. And we will get into what it did well and what it could have did better at. But I definitely don't agree with this 48%. Does anybody else agree with the 48? Or are we, after seeing the film, we got a better take on the film versus what the critics are saying? Are they just absurd? Is this an absurd rating?
I think that's too low of a rating. I don't think it's in that area. The movie has flaws. I'm leaning more towards, I guess I'm kind of in the gray area with you, but I'm more towards like the negative side. But there were aspects of the movie that I did like, and I think that it did do well. I feel like a lot of these people have not really seen a 40% movie or like a movie of that caliber. But in my opinion, no, this movie was not that bad. It had problems, but it wasn't that terrible.
I concur. 40%. I can't tell you a 40% movie, but the only thing that comes to mind is like Baby Geniuses or Super Baby Geniuses 2. That sounds like a 40% movie. This is not Baby Geniuses, not at all. Far from it. But yeah, let's go ahead and flesh out our thoughts. I mean, here's the basic story. I was not familiar with the Eternals prior to this film. Celestials created the Eternals to battle the deviants across the universe. And their biggest rule, you can't interfere with human conflict. And of course, we are met with the eternal conflict of what happens when you fall for your assignment. You're not supposed to fall for the assignment. They fell in love with the Earth. They want to protect the Earth. There's no more deviants, so they stay. They're waiting to go home. And we see them battle with that notion of, should we stick to our duty or can we create our own path? And I think that's the underlying theme that goes throughout the movie. But deviants come back, and now this film turns into, let's get the band back together. Deviants are here. We got to do this. And naturally, other things unfold, which we can get into. But as far as the MCU film, this one definitely deviates from the formula. Am I correct about that? I felt this film was original as far as its storytelling goes and very different in its own right. And I think that's something that worked for the film. But how did y'all feel about the overall story? Let's talk about this story.
I guess I can go first. I thought the story was interesting at first. It did get a little bit boring in the middle, but it was all over the place. It felt like they didn't know what they were going for until they were done filming the movie. And that was my biggest issue. Like, overall, like, it was an enjoyable movie, but I don't know. It felt like there were multiple people writing the script and they just smash everything together and pick what the best thing was overall, if that makes sense.
I think that makes perfect sense because I do feel they were all over the place a lot during this story.
There were definitely, especially in the first act, there were just pockets, at least for me, where I was just bored. I kind of wanted the ball to get rolling. I liked the characters where they were being established, like where they were in life whenever we got to them. But I felt like certain scenes kind of dragged out a little too long for my taste. Then something would happen and I'm like, okay, now the ball's rolling, but then the ball would stop again. And then it would kind of have to reset itself. I think it really didn't kick into high gear until like halfway through its second act. And then once it started getting into the third act, that was kind of a mess by itself. But that was, you know, everyone was fighting at that point, right? But yeah, I do agree that there was originality with the way they told this story for the Eternals. My problem is with the execution. I felt like it had good ideas. I like the ideas. I just wish they were executed better. Some were actually done pretty well. Like, you know, there were characters I walked out of here and I'm like, I really like this guy. I actually want to see him again. Or this girl. I mean, Thena. Thena didn't get a lot to do, but what she had, I liked it. I liked what she did. But yeah, I guess that's going into the characters. So we'll talk about that later. But yeah, overall, film just needed to be executed a little bit better.
Yeah, I agree. I think it feels like there are like 2 or 3 different movies happening in one. And I'm sure we'll talk about like pacing and I guess we're talking about it now, to be honest.
We're talking about it now, yeah.
Okay, excellent.
That's the biggest issue, I think, yeah.
I agree. I think that's also the biggest issue is like just pacing and organization. Because like I said, I think it's like multiple movies in one, but also when you describe just the basic story, I was like, okay, that makes sense. Watching it happen and watching it kind of unfold, I was like, okay, now I'm confused. Because it did very much, it was like speed track through a couple things and then slow down for a couple things. And I think it needed to pick whether it wanted to be like traditional Marvel where things kind of move relatively quickly, or if it wanted to be kind of earnest, like Chloe Zhao's overall film, where it takes its time and it unpacks and it really gets you connected to characters. I think it was trying to do both at the same time. And it didn't feel like all of it worked. Some of it did, because I walked out, you know, similar to Jace, like feeling a connection to certain characters. So clearly something was working, but other things weren't, because I also felt like kind of confused at certain points. Like, what are we doing? What time is it? We're now in present. Okay, now we're introducing. Oh, right. So I think a lot of what I made a little list of things that I enjoyed and things I didn't enjoy. I think a lot of what I said was like, this is interesting, like interesting characters, an interesting idea, like the ethical dilemmas, like basically the trolley problem was kind of being like played out in front of us, but with like cosmic people instead of, you know, a trolley and humans. Well, I guess humans are involved, but regardless, yeah, I think there were a lot of really interesting and intriguing ideas, but I'm not quite sure, similarly to Jace and Ethan's, or Hoop said, that they were executed well.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No,
Tevin.
go ahead.
Tevin,
Go ahead.
go.
No.
Slay, Tevin.
Yeah, go ahead.
I didn't really have a big problem with the story for real. It's a Marvel movie, and like nothing can be worse than Thor in my mind. So it's like
Thor 1 specifically, or just
more
Thor
more so than anything. But I kind of group them together, but more so.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't really like. I don't really know a lot about internals, so it didn't really bother me. The only thing I didn't like is that when they gave us the information, it was like no information, and then she goes and sees the guy, and then you get all the information thrown at you at one time, and then the story just goes on. It's like,
I hate exposition like
yeah.
I
Also,
don't like
also, and it's like, I don't like these movies. You know, the movie that starts with like the words coming down.
The opening crawl. It
Yeah.
I hate it.
It's garbage.
I hate that. I hate that.
You hate it, but you like Star Wars films, don't you?
It only works in Star Wars.
It only works in
It's
Star
only
Wars as the
Wars
text
allowed
crawl.
to do opening crawls.
Star Wars the only one because they do it properly, and they were the OG.
Yeah.
They were the OG, and I can get behind it because
I think for the casual viewer who does not know Eternals, that opening crawl, I appreciated that more than arrest him. This is your true purpose.
But no, it made no sense because they dropped a bunch of names, but you had no idea what the character were.
they were dropping
Right.
like Olympia, Eternals,
I'm like,
Celestials.
Who is a Sherm, whatever the prince was name? I was like, who is that? And I was waiting for him to appear in the entire movie. I'm like, where is that guy? Because I heard about a prince before, and he didn't show up to halfway through the movie.
He was the guy at the Celestial in red, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
See, you have to think about it. That's an issue.
No, I agree. Part of my viewing experience was kind of like ruined in that segment because that's when like some couple came in and they just started flashing their cell phone light to try and find where to sit, and everyone was like, "Are you serious? Like, what's going on?" And so I'm like, I kind of went cross-eyed. One eye is looking at the light, one eye is looking at the paragraph on screen, and I was like, I have no idea what I just read. I remember the last paragraph. They're fighting deviants.
I was like, I've literally only seen this work twice in Star Wars and then Power Rangers, the first movie. Other than that, I was like, can we please just get this movie? And it was so much text and it was so long. It was like 3 paragraphs worth of like, I'm like, okay, let's just go. But other than that, no, the story, I mean, I didn't really get I got the gist of it all. I didn't really get like she made a very good point. Tonally, it didn't know if you want to be very intimate and earnest, as you said, versus like Marvel movie, let's just go. So I that's a very good point. I felt that, but for me, it did enough. It did enough. It did enough. But go ahead, Ethan. I'm sorry. I mean,
no. This is great. This is great because now that you mentioned, you know,
and I would give the movie a 75. I give it an even 75% for me. But.
Okay.
Already in the scores.
Yeah, let's see if that'll change through the rest of this. There was a lot of exposition dump. But one thing throughout the story that I did not like, because again, you're gonna call me silly, but I thought this movie played out like the Country Bears. Have you ever seen the Country Bears? They had to go and recruit everybody, and every time they recruited somebody, they said, you know, Country Bear Hall is about to be teared down. Hey, Ajax dead. We gotta go. The deviants are back. Everybody got their own little Ajax dead moment flashback to whatever the heck was going on before. And yes, it dragged out at a lot of those parts. And it was just like, it was just annoying because they did it with everybody.
They did
everybody. I did not need Kingo's Bollywood dance scene though. It was cool.
I disagree.
Cool.
I like that.
It was cool.
Yeah.
But we didn't need it.
Yes, we did.
I think we did. I disagree. I think we did. That was probably the one point in the movie where I was genuinely smiling, like enjoying what I was watching on screen. I'm like, yo, this guy, he really got a connection with humans. He's in Bollywood. He has generations of movies of his own generation, his own like generation down the line. I thought you're right. It wasn't needed because it I guess overall it doesn't add too much to the overall plot, but if we're gonna go into each person's life and what they're doing in the present day, his was probably the most entertaining for me.
I can agree with that, but it overstayed its welcome. You know, it overstayed. There's 10 of these people they have to go get, and everyone had it like an extended recruitment scene, and it made the film drag. And then it would flash back, which I actually really like a lot of those flashback scenes.
Yes,
I think those were actually kind of done right. However, they weren't interwoven as a flashback, I believe, should. And right, flashbacks overstay. They overstay their welcome too. And like DrJaceAttorney said, it gets confusing. You get confused. You're jumping back and forth from 5000 BC to present day. And it was too much. It was too much. Like, I would have appreciated it. I don't know. Maybe I'm going in too much.
No, the flashback were not that good. Like, the main issue I had with the flashback is whenever they jumped around, they didn't tell you how they got from point A to point B. It started, they were in Mesopotamia. Then they were in Babylon. Okay, how did you go from this place to Egypt? I mean, to India, to Central America? It doesn't make sense. They didn't show their journey like in the past, which is why it would have helped us understand why the character were so friendly with each other, or why they were friends. They didn't show us any background information on them, which kind of sucks.
Oh, I didn't think about that. We didn't get a lot of those relationship building in the past. Only the present. Honestly, I don't even know why Icarus was in love with Cersei. I have no idea why. I don't know where that came from.
It just, when they were gazing out at the stars in the beginning.
And he tried speaking some language.
And that was it. No. And when they were on the ship, remember when they were on the ship?
Right.
Yeah, at that point, they were locked in. They already knew. And,
I guess.
They did have, within the flashbacks, they had some of their interaction and there was conversation. I mean, we didn't know all the details, but it didn't just come out of nowhere in terms of like the present day. Like, there were more interactions between the two of them. Whether they were effective is, a question to be had. I just wanted to pose a question to you all though. Like, how would you feel if this was like a 10 episode like series where each character got their own episode?
The entire movie, this was playing in the back of my mind. I think I would have preferred this as a TV show. I think it deserved that, because then it kind of tackles what Grandmaster was saying about how the flashbacks were interwoven. I think if we got like a flashback, like just one every episode to shed some light on some of these characters and how they got from one place to another, I think that would alleviate a lot of those problems.
Because it reminds me of like something Euphoria does, if any of you all have seen it, but like HBO, each episode is like relatively focused on a character. Now the plot keeps moving and they weave in that specific character with how it relates to the overall like arcing plot. But like there is more of a focus in on that specific character per episode so that you kind of understand motives and like how do they connect to other people that's already been discussed, as well as people that are to come. And that was something I was thinking afterwards. I was like, it would have been interesting if you start with, say, like Cersei, and then it moves through, and then you have the opportunity to really unpack like who a person is, who they were in the past, who they are in the present, and then how they're being recruited and what's the importance of them kind of getting back in the fray of things. So that was something that I thought of as far as like some of the pacing and even kind of plot holes that kept coming up that would at least help me feel a little bit less confused, but also maybe more satisfied with how each character was used, because there's 10 people, and I'm sure we'll get into like how some folks had more time than others, which, yeah, for people that I really connected to, and I was like, oh, but I only got you for like 10 minutes of 2 hours and 47 minutes, or 37 minutes, however long it is.
37.
Okay, it was 37. I knew it was some kind of 7, but I think a series would have allowed me to have some more of that connection to people that I think I like, but I'm not quite sure because they weren't there for all that long. So
right, Gilgamesh was awesome, and we got him for like but yes.
His pie scene was beautiful. I love his pie scene.
Oh, Ajax dead drops the pie.
He drops the pie. The comedic timing was beautiful. I liked it. The audience was confused. They were like laughing at first, and then they're like, "Oh wait, I shouldn't laugh."
Right? Yeah.
That question: was your audience entertained during the movie? Like, were people laughing through your movie?
Yeah, 100%.
Sporadically, yeah, a little bit.
But if you want to talk about the comedy, I think I don't think a lot of those jokes landed.
Okay. It didn't really have. I know Black Panther is like a little extreme, but just follow me. My audience didn't really have that Black Panther effect throughout this movie. Like the punchlines were coming, and people were just like.
I gave some petty laughs. I gave a lot of petty laughs. Like, oh, I see you're trying to be funny. Let me.
Yeah.
But they mostly didn't work for me.
Same.
Right. And I think. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and I think that's part of like the tonal issue. Is it does feel like there was a movie and then somebody later on realized, oh, this is supposed to be a Marvel movie. So we need like some punchlines. And I think based off of what we've seen in Dune, that's not what people going to see Marvel movies are expecting, but like you could just not be funny and like tell a good story.
Right.
And the audience will respond. Like you could do it. And if they were already taking the risk anyway. So I think there could have been, I don't know if humorous, but like lighter moments, but I don't think you had to shoehorn in the punchlines just to fit the Marvel movie kind of formula because you were already going off the tracks with the formula. So I think that was something that I was like, oh damn, you didn't have to do that. Like
you didn't have to do it. You
could have just. I really enjoyed like the earnest, like interpersonal relationship, like emotional, ethical, like what do I do? What do we do? Parts. And I think kind of throwing a joke in there didn't really help me. Yeah.
There was literally one thing I absolutely hated about this movie, and I can't wait to even talk about it because I know somebody's going to bring it up.
Okay. Don't forget it.
Okay, let's talk about it. We can, because we're talking about overall story. So
okay.
Happened in the story.
Can we do it right now?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, go ahead.
I turned into a middle-aged white woman when they put that sex scene on that TV, on that oh my God. And I am not prude, I swear to God. But as soon as it happened, I swear I grabbed my chest.
Okay, Karen.
I was like, no, I swear it's like the children.
What about the children?
And I get the point that they were trying to make, got to make this a regular, people gotta get used to this. Like, this is what happens in stories and yada yada storytelling. But like, it wasn't earned. It would happen like 15 minutes into the movie. I was like, I don't even know these people.
They on the first date. On the first date. Too.
On the first day, right?
Cersei, come on.
And then it wasn't like a quick, like it just lingered. I don't know why it bothered me so much, but it just lingered, just 3 seconds, just too long. Like I felt, and this feels weird to me to say, but like I felt very uncomfortable. The whole time it happened, I was really like.
I will say my theater felt uncomfortable.
They did?
They've made some noises, not the noises on screen, but they made some noises. I'm like, okay, those are disapproving noises.
I didn't ask for this. I do not need this. This is not where I come to my Marvel movie for. And I swear I'm not approved, but it was just like.
Wait, you think that's bad?
Huh?
Wait, next to me there was this couple, and they had their teenage son in between them.
Oh,
and the minute that scene popped out, I heard the mom make a comment, and the kid was just like this the entire time. I was like, "Oh my God, bless his poor heart."
Oh man, he didn't know. He thought he was walking into a Marvel movie.
My dude, they thought wrong.
I honestly didn't think much of the sex scene. Like, I forgot it was a Marvel movie and that they probably couldn't do these types of things. But I was just like, oh, that's cool.
That's okay. Maybe if it happened at the end of the movie after I got to know
End of the movie.
No, towards the end, after I got to know Cersei.
Okay.
Oh, you just have a problem with when it happened with the character.
But as a whole, yeah. I mean, I think I would have had a problem if that same exact scene. I think if it would have happened regardless, I probably would have been like a little, but because it wasn't like earned to me, like until if it came after some struggle, they don't fought, people don't died, and then they have one night before the the grand battle's about to happen, and it happens. I'm like, okay, cool. Like it was like 10 minutes into the movie, she was like, go get her, go live your life. And next thing you know, they hunching on top of a mountain, and I'm just like, what is going on?
See, now I beg you the question: do other Marvel characters deserve a sex scene? Would we have loved to see Steve Rogers and Peggy Carter?
Oh my!
Would we have wanted that? Did we want that?
We
don't, or we do?
Well, I mean, we did have one in Iron Man when Pepper was sticking her hand in his chest hole.
Here's the thing about Marvel. There's actually a really good article about this. Marvel Mooney, like, they're not horny. They're not thirsty. They're very sexless. Like, if you watch old Hollywood movies, there's an air that like people are wanting to have sex. And as we've moved into like more modern eras, and I think Marvel is partially responsible for this, we have people that look like wonderful human beings. We got the muscles, we got the pecs, we got the abs, we're showing those. And every so often Natasha has her V-neck situation going on, but overall they're very much lacking in thirstiness. And so I thought like the scene was also like, I was like, I'm not feeling this. I'm not, and it's not that I disapprove, but like I'm not, this is not like intimate. This is not, because like traditionally you haven't been. Like there's a distinct lack of just horniness in movies in general, but especially in Marvel movies. So to kind of stick it in, like, I don't know if it was quite working.
Yeah,
the way you wanted it to work. And these people are attractive. Like, I got a list of all the people I think are attractive in this movie.
Oh, she has it right there.
Yeah,
I do. And frankly, Gemma and Richard are at the top because they are attractive people, but I wasn't quite feeling the chemistry. I actually think two other characters had three of them. Actually, there were two separate relationships that had better chemistry than the two of them. And so one was platonic and one felt kind of more intimate, potentially romantic. So yeah, it's interesting that that's what they chose to do. Like, I'm all for risk taking, but like Marvel, you're traditionally really, you're not as thirsty as you make the people look to be.
Yeah.
You choose super attractive people, but like then there's this distinct lack of intimacy and potential sex. So yeah.
Fair enough. They would eventually get there, Marvel, them dipping their toes in these sex scenes. Maybe we'll get more. Maybe we'll see some of our favorites hook up. Who knows?
No,
of course.
A nice passionate kiss, a longing kiss, and press on. Like, this ain't Titans. Like, this isn't Titans. Like, we don't need nudity and all this stuff in the Marvel movies. We just don't. There's just no point. There's literally no point.
When you got different directors, they're gonna want to do different
tonal
things.
Shifts.
So
like, I don't know. Was this like PG-13 or something?
It's PG-13.
You can have sex scenes in PG-13 movies. It's okay.
I mean, I think this feels like a good segue. I'm taking a job, Uber. The relationships that felt like they were like, for at least for me, I'm not gonna talk for y'all, but that felt more like intimate, and intimate doesn't necessarily have to mean like physical interactions or sex or anything like that, but like specifically, at least for me, Athena and Gilgamesh,
loved
their like platonic friendship, supporting, empathy, etc. That interaction,
something you protected.
Yes. And then frankly, I thought the little side scenes that my girl Makari and Druig had, they have their own.
Yes.
They had like these little baby scenes where you saw in the background that like, wait a minute, they got something there.
Yeah.
Like there is
something
chemistry
going on.
And I like Druig a lot.
I really, you know what? We stand by Irish Prince in this household. Yes. Druig.
Druig, the
Yeah,
mind guy.
So yeah, I think they actually did have these, and I even, I preferred Cersei with Dane. I think
Sure
that
did.
interaction worked better than Icarus did.
Did not like
felt-
Icarus.
He felt stiff as hell, and we'll talk about him in a moment, I'm sure.
Wouldn't.
But it's like, sorry.
Literally wouldn't.
What we got going on, but regardless, I think they actually did have more like these relationships that you really could feel the intimacy and just the care, and like I felt connected to that and seeing
Right.
that.
I think there's a couple of characters who were easily, you can invest in them, and others they kind of just got lost in the sauce. Like I do like Makari a lot, but her present day-ness was very short. You have no idea what she was doing for the last couple 100 years, and she was just in the ship.
Sad.
Apparently, yeah, it was
Like,
kind of
girl,
sad. Right.
Free her.
Right. Like, what are you doing just locked up in this ship for 100 years? But
Don't buy it.
yeah, Athena and Gilgamesh, I think they make you really care about that relationship right there. They did very well. Icarus, yeah, I guess he was kind of wooden, but that's because he's doing his job. He's the only one that cares about the job. I guess all these years on Earth did nothing for him. He does not care one bit.
Which, I mean, that begs the question. He was the only one that we didn't get an explanation on what he was doing.
Yes,
Last
where'd he
hundreds of
Where'd he
years.
go?
Where'd he go? Like, I get why he left, but what were you doing in all this time?
Flying around, just flying around,
Just,
blasting people with his eyes.
Blast. It's like, I mean, everyone else aside from I forgot her name, Makari, right? Makari. Everyone else aside from Makari, they kind of integrated into human society, but in some way, some more than others. But yeah, just Icarus was MIA. We don't know what he was doing this entire time. That's just...
Well, we know he was left alone with his thoughts about the Celestial being born and how nobody cares about their job. So I guess we're to believe that he, being alone, drove him to like, I gotta finish the mission, the job, screw these people.
It's possible that he was hiding up in Alaska because when he bought Ajax there,
where they were,
he mentioned that he noticed that the Deviant were coming out of the ice. So it's possible that he was in the area because I don't think in the movie they ever show us a scene where the Deviant killed the oil refinery workers.
No, they did
not.
No.
Yeah, we're just told that by him. So we have to assume he was up in the mountain somewhere just chilling, which is kind of stupid, but yeah, whatever. I mean, somebody was stuck in the ship for 200 years reading a book, so you can expect much more from that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. What's interesting about Icarus, I guess we're now moving into characters.
Yeah, we're in character.
Okay, excellent. I want to be respectful of your outline.
That's just from my thoughts.
Well,
we can go all over the place.
Well, I think, but like I said, my preference is Cersei and Dane compared to like Icarus and Cersei. I did find him, I think I want it more because I did find him intriguing as far as like this is what indoctrination does. Like when you hear a specific idea and this is what you're being fed and this is what you internalize about, how you see the world. And a lot of people are very rigid in that. And being shown something else can be very uncomfortable, or people become very defensive or just very against that. And I think we saw that play out, certainly to an extreme level, because most of the time people don't have, superpowers. But yeah, I think similar to you all, I would have wanted more information, which is why, again, I'm just going to keep plugging the importance that like a series would have had, because we could have had more time to kind of unpack him. Because I think it was interesting that, despite his connection with Cersei, there is just this stronghold on like, this is our mission. We have to stick to it because this is what I was taught and this is all I know. And, moving outside of those lines is like seemingly impossible. So I did find him interesting. I think certainly I found the powers and like the fights near the end. I'm sure we'll get to Act 3. Like some of that was pretty cool too. But yeah, I think they could have given him a little bit more. Richard Madden is super talented, and we saw scenes in which we saw some of that come out, or at least let me not say I saw scenes in which I did see some of that displayed. I don't want to speak for y'all, but yeah, we could have had you could have given him a little bit more.
Do you think his betrayal is kind of Marvel trying to switch up their characters and pull a fast one on you? You know,
Oh, sorry.
No, I'm trying to think of. I find it similar to like when they pose Mysterio as a hero. You know, kind of they the fake out. This is kind of like Icarus is not a villain in the comics, but here he is. They made him the villain. Well, villainess.
I will say, I was listening to a different podcast about Eternals, and so I'm not going to take credit for this idea, but it was intriguing to me. It seems like they wanted to cause some type of suspense. However, what they posed, which I thought was interesting, is like, what if the audience knew ahead of time, like that Icarus was the person, and we saw things play out and this tension rise because we know that he's off, that he did something bad, but the cast or like the characters don't know, rather than all of us finding out at the same time. Because I think they were trying to cause a tension or a conflict, but we're really focused in. And I think there was an element of like, we want to be secretive about this, but I found it intriguing, that idea that they posed that like, if we knew ahead of time, like earlier in the movie, that he was a bad person, and the characters, so we're seeing him interact with these characters, like, okay, what the fuck's gonna happen?
Like lying to their face.
Yes, rather than all of us at the same time realizing, like, oh damn, like, or we found out
a more interesting film.
You know, we found out like slightly before they did, but regardless, yeah, I think there was an attempt to try to cause some tension between them that, you know, maybe wasn't fully realized, which is maybe my biggest complaint about the film, is there's a lot of really interesting ideas that I'm on board for, that, you know, the execution maybe didn't live up to some of what I really needed to fully invest.
Right, because if we at least knew what he was doing in these 100 years, it wouldn't be so unbelievable that out of the 10 of them, he is the only one in 5,000 years who did not find any, you know, compassion for humanity. But we don't know what he was doing. Right. So it just seems like, you know, he was in a cabin
in Alaska. Like
just sitting there being like, the mission. Do we have favorite Eternals out of this group? Or did anybody stand? I think we know the Athena stands. I talked to Tevin yesterday. I know he's Athena stan. But I was mentioning Druig. I thought his internal conflict, you know, I can control all these minds and I'm told not to, you know, interfere, and I have to watch them, you know, commit genocide. That was very powerful. I like
that.
How I didn't know he's probably the character got the least amount of promo, but I ended up walking away. He was one of my favorite ones to watch, and that was very intriguing thought. Or did any Eternal not do it for you? Like, do we have some I did not like Sprite. I'm gonna throw that out there.
Yeah.
I hate Sprite.
Yeah.
Sprite was not for me. I just couldn't. I mean, yeah, Sprite. I will say the characters I did like. I'm gonna start on a positive. I loved Kingo. You already know this. I loved Kingo.
Wait, which one was that?
The Indian guy.
Kumail Nanjiani's character.
Yeah, I loved his character, and I also liked Fastos.
I like Fastos
mainly because I have a bias towards Paperboy.
Paperboy.
Gotta make that Paperboy. I mean, every time I see that guy, I always just play that song in my head. So I already have a bias towards liking him, and I like the way he was in this. I like the way he was in this movie. Questionable decisions with everyone, but those were definitely the two standouts. I did like Druig. I liked his conflict that he had with, you know, his powers and not being able to do anything to help society. But yeah, I think we should do like an Eternals tier list. Like, I mean, oh man, I don't think anyone's an S, but definitely Sprite's at the bottom.
I am not a fan of, I'm in love with him, so I gotta go follow him. You haven't seen him in like 500 years.
And he's a different person now. He's he literally told you, I'm going to
kill he killed your mother.
He killed your mother, and I'm going to kill everyone else if they interfere. Oh, but
right.
I love you. I'm gonna
right. You want to follow a psycho, right?
And I see the biggest pull away from this was they never show that she was in love with him, even in the flashbacks. There was zero sign of that at any moment. The only sign we got it is when the best Eternal, the Indian guy, told her, "Hey, you're Tinkerbell." That was it. And that's when I realized,
that's the Tinkerbell and Peter Pan.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay, she's Tinkerbell because she's small and she's not gonna get the attention of Icarus. Funny. But like apart from that, there was zero interaction. So
it had to be told to you.
Yeah,
but
and that's an issue.
See it.
That's an issue for me.
No, I agree. Yeah.
Y'all really like Kingo.
Yes, he was hilarious.
His decision was
at the end. I hated it.
I didn't like.
I could not stand.
At the same time, I think there were decisions with practically all the characters that I strongly disagreed with because I'm like, is that really in character? Would you really do that? So with Kingo, I agree that decision what decision he made? He chose
not to be in the conflict, not
to be in the conflict,
not to try to stop Icarus, and not to try
to fight his
stop
family.
the Celestial from coming.
Right, because he doesn't want to fight his family. And I mean, I understand. And see, here's the thing, kind of what we were saying before. I like the idea that there's one person on here that has a conflict where they agree with, I guess, the villain's side in a way, but they are not just gonna take up arms and start slaughtering their family over it. So I like that idea, but I did not buy this guy who was in Bollywood, probably the guy that's most ingrained in human society with the whole cast, is just willing to say, I'm not taking part of this conflict. I'm going to go back to India and let the world die in a couple weeks, and in a week or so. I didn't buy it. Like the guy has the most to gain from human society. He has enjoyed human society the most. That being said, he was funny. I liked his scenes. I liked the Bollywood scene.
That's what happened. He was so funny, and they realized that they made his character too amazing. They had to lower it so he can match the rest of the garbage that he was assisting. So like, oh, we messed up. This guy is too amazing. People are gonna like him too much. Let's just lower his character and put him on the same level as everybody else. So that's what they did.
I didn't like his pea shooters.
Yes, I like the concept. I just didn't like how. I felt like it wasn't that powerful.
It wasn't that powerful in the grand scheme of, because essentially it's the same as the laser eyes, right? I imagine that's the same energy.
It's the same energy
that comes out of there, but the laser eyes were doing damage like no other.
They needed Kingo for Thanos. Thanos would have went down.
Oh yeah, you think so?
I think so.
100%.
If that was my power, I would be so upset. This girl got when Gilgamesh he pimp slapped that was crazy.
Who, Athena? When he punched Athena?
Yeah, that was nice.
Knocked her out.
Oh, okay, that was good. I like
very
that.
nice movie. But no, for me, Ajax was the worst. I feel like
underutilized. Yes.
For me.
Well, very underutilized.
They lied to us in the marketing. They lied to us. I wanted to see Salma Hayek be a superhero, and she was a mom the whole time.
Yeah,
that sucks.
Even when they did give us that one little fight scene with her and
Athena, she just moves on Athena. Yeah,
like they should have gave us a little bit more light, so I could have looked in her face while she had her 2 moments of fight scene time, and I could have been like, yeah, do that, Salma Hayek. And next time she's dead, I was like.
The way she went out was BS too.
Yeah, I just watched a whole Salma Hayek interview on Hot Wings yesterday, and I did not. This is Desperado. This is what I'm saying. Same way I feel like the same thing I feel about Angelina Jolie. I can arguably say I feel that way about Salma Hayek. Like it's Salma Hayek, and y'all got her being an internal, and y'all got her just.
She's a mom.
Well, for someone who doesn't have powers that are, offensive, you would think you pick up a skill to better defend yourself. You're
the prime eternal. You're the leader.
You're the leader. Yeah.
That doesn't mean you're the strongest, but
Sprite has a knife. I guess Sprite has some knife skills.
And I feel like they underuse her powers too. Like in my mind, I thought it would be more so like low-key type things. I mean, not like
she was doing Loki-ish type of stuff. With the mirages and illusions, I feel like she did. She could have done more,
Yeah,
probably.
they could have been a little bit more clever with her powers. But outside of that, but everything else, everybody else, I wanted more Gilgamesh. I think I just wanted more Gilgamesh and Athena mostly. I'm not gonna lie to you. But everybody else was cool. I think what's his name? Fastos? What's his name? The black guy?
Fastos.
Yeah. Fastos.
You know, the whole time I understood what his powers were, but I didn't really know what they were. So when you got to see it visually, when he put the chains and the ropes
On Icarus?
Oh, God.
Flying in, I was like, that is such a dope ass. I don't know if he got like.
He's the most powerful.
He's a technopath. You call that a technopath?
Oh wow, that was amazing. That was an amazing little
sequence. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, wait, yeah. I got. They lied to me. That's all. They lied. I'm sorry.
They did. No, it's true. It's
sorry.
true.
I'm sorry they did you like that.
Yeah, so pretty much everyone you've already mentioned. Like, I really like Druig. I really like Cersei. I know we haven't maybe spent as much time kind of discussing her. She was the main character pretty much.
She was the main character.
And I think part of me really appreciates that they just had somebody who was like emotional and really connected and wanting to kind of build up these relationships. And I think we certainly saw that happen. I liked her progression of just like what her powers were, and then as she gained more power and more confidence in herself, I liked seeing that. But I really like Druig. I really like Fastos as well. And just my girl Makari, the ended scene, I know they didn't give her a lot to do, but what she did, what she had to do for her man, because that's what I'm go ahead and categorize it as, she did what needed to be done. Like, she really don't whip his ass. Now, I know she didn't succeed fully in the end. However,
she went in. She did.
I'm very surprised.
Quicksilver we deserve right there.
I'll be honest. The few times she was laying it in, and I was like, period. Go ahead. So that's why we stand. Just a couple minutes towards the end. So I really did appreciate that. But I think for people that had more time, I liked the kind of the dilemma that Druig was going through. I liked Fastos. I'm not quite sure I enjoyed or felt it was appropriate. The Hiroshima kind of throw in
was a little
again.
Jarring.
Yeah, and one of those tonal issues, like, damn,
right.
Okay.
It was a little overkill. It was kind of overkill.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure I agree with.
Wait, that he participated in that, or
yeah, like the idea was he had contributed to the advancements of technology so much that he was relatively responsible for the a nuclear.
Right. It was technology. A domino effect. You give a man a steam engine, and it just eventually progresses to atom bomb.
Nah, but outside of that, I really did actually appreciate him, and I like seeing the fight near the end. And I really think that the after he did showcase a lot of the powers that maybe we were wanting to see a little earlier in the film, or didn't get the chance to see earlier in the film. So I liked being able to see Fastos throw down.
I hope the Flash was taking notes.
Oh,
it did look good. The speed
good.
Looked really good. There were other things I had some issues with. I think one of Athena's first scenes, like, you can tell it's CGI. Okay.
Oh yeah,
you can see
that first deviant fight.
Yeah, where
that ain't Angelina. Yeah. That ain't her. Who that made that wig? Yeah.
But the speed was well done, I feel.
Speed was cool.
Yeah. So
yeah, it was.
Just want to point out, does this film suffer from the villain problem that we see in a lot of films? Because the deviants were supposed to be the main antagonist, and there was the one who, I guess his name is Crow. He's the one that killed Ajak and killed Gilgamesh. I don't know. I felt the deviants were weird in this film because did they find out the truth too? Did they ever find out the truth?
I think they did. They should have, because they implied that when they absorbed the the essence, I guess, of them, they were inheriting some of their memories, and so that's how I understood it, at least. But then it begs, oh my god, the deviants were just so weird in this movie. I didn't like the designs of the deviants. I felt like they were just typical
CGI fodder.
CG fodder monsters. You could pick and throw them into any other type of fantasy movie, and you won't tell the difference.
Honestly, they reminded me of Ultron, the main villain. Him trying to get smarter and trying to beat up the villain. The way he acted, it just reminded me of Ultron.
He kind of got that complex going on because he did start getting more intelligent. Once he absorbed Gilgamesh,
that's the part.
That's when he became more human. And I thought they were gonna do something interesting with him because now he's intelligent.
If he knew the truth too, why is he out here still trying to kill the Eternals when it's technically not their fault?
Because
your anger should be directed at Russian.
Pettiness.
Right. It didn't make sense because I think they were trying to show that he was willing to team up with the Eternals because he did come in to fight Icarus in the final act. And then when he fought Icarus a little bit, I think Gilgamesh like slapped him down or something. And I think Druig asked, "Why are you helping Icarus?" And he's like, "Oh, we can't let this guy absorb Icarus because then, we're going to have worse problems on our hand." But I just didn't buy it either. I felt like if this guy's getting more intelligent, he's going to strategize a bit more into trying to figure out, okay, I should be working with these guys to stop all this, this destruction with the Celestial. And then once all that is taken care of, then I handle them at the end.
Right, because at that point, they're realizing we're just pawns in these Celestials games, But
man.
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't buying the deviants either. They haven't seen that big of a threat. There's only 3 of them.
There was only 3. I felt like none of their powers really did anything against them. Like I felt no impact. Even like when you first saw them, like in the very beginning, when they're supposed to be stronger than the deviants in like Mesopotamia, some of those attacks, I don't know. I just wasn't buying them. Like I felt like, I don't know. I don't know. The deviants were not for me. They were not for me at all.
Yeah, I think that was something I was kind of chewing on is what there feels like there's not quite a traditional, like, here's the big bad. Like, I think I've alluded to, like, it felt the ethical dilemma was more of the focus of like, do we allow the Celestial to emerge and kill like 8 billion people for the sake of then creating all these other universes, planets, beings, etc. Or do we stop him and save these 8 billion, but all those other universes and other planets and other beings aren't created? And so then as a result of like that bigger question that doesn't quite have a right answer, frankly, leads to then other Celestials like trying to create these pawns, which are the Eternals and the Deviants, that then are like interacting with each other. So it didn't quite feel like, it just felt like almost an unanswerable question was the villain, in a sense. Like there wasn't quite, like, we watch Shang-Chi and we see like a representation of who the villain is in this case, or we watch Black Widow and we knew exactly who the big bad was. In this case, it felt similarly to almost what DC has tried to do, is like this deconstruction of what a hero is, and also a deconstruction of who a villain is, because all the folks in this movie thought they were in the right. And if you really break down some of it, there's not quite like the exact right answer, because
there's a conflict.
Yeah, because I mean, me as a human, I would like to live, so they're going to save Earth, please. However, I think if I am an Eternal, I see where maybe some of that conflict came, because it's like, oh, like, but we create all the rest of this. So like, I guess we let them die because we got a couple other universes on the way. Like, what are we? So I think that it felt like the conflict was that ethical dilemma more so than like a big bad. But they tried to position it that way to hide some of that until the end. So you saw the deviants because they got to market a movie. But yeah, I'm not opposed to that. I'm not quite sure that's what I got.
For me, I think it worked. I didn't need a big for this movie. I didn't really need a big bad. I feel like for me the stakes were high enough. where everything was emerging out of the ground and stuff like that. Like that was enough for me. I was holding my breath the whole time. Like that, visually it looked so nice to just watch that stuff happen. I didn't really need a big bag. For me, the issue comes with the deviants. Granted, that's a good point that you could put them in any kind of movie, and like you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. Like, oh, this
you
is
wouldn't.
like
They could have been Percy Jackson.
Yeah.
I was thinking of Percy Jackson.
So that's a good point. But I think the issue just really just lies with that less. And I like the fight scenes. I wasn't really so. It was just more so when he came that last time. And in my mind, it was always been Athena's destiny to take this thing down. I was okay with that. But when it just happened, it was just like, that's it.
Yeah, it was over. That was it.
He didn't absorb
a fake out.
He didn't absorb 2 more powers and kill Icarus. I would have rather the deviant kill Icarus than them go into the sun. Than him gone into the sun or wherever he did.
He flew into the sun.
God.
Icarus.
Oh, the poetry, how poetic.
Yes, Icarus flew too close to the sun.
Oh, is that what that was?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hello. His name is Icarus, and she was like, "Oh, that's just a story we made up in Greece." Athena, like I guess, moved Athens along, and that's why they named it Athena.
Yeah.
You didn't pick up those? You didn't pick those up?
No, those. I just didn't get Icarus. It just didn't click until.
Oh my God.
Maybe it was the K. It was the K that threw you off because it's usually ICA instead of IKA. That's why.
Well, they're all like named Cersei.
Wow.
Okay. So I did like how because this is kind of the opposite of from what I understand the Eternals are in the comics. The Eternals kind of helped kind of start humanity in a way in the comics from what I understand, but in here their presence kind of influenced them as they trudged along. So like Athena, she's the one that got that whole thing with of Greece going along. There was someone else in here,
Gilgamesh, Epic of Gilgamesh.
Gilgamesh is literally named after Gilgamesh.
Right. So I thought that was cool. I thought that was kind of cool that their names and stories influenced human history in some way. Like they started those legends, like Icarus.
It reminded me of a lot of the Watchmen, because that was kind of the Watchmen's deal. The Watchmen were at pivotal points in history, changing the tides. Except this film, the Eternals are just nothing's changed. The Watchmen done shook up everything. Like they sent Dr. Manhattan to Vietnam, so we won Vietnam because he's out here just blasting everybody.
Don't understand. I really want to throw up in my mouth right now.
Why?
Because of the poetry of Icarus. He's so shocked at how genius that was.
I didn't think he needed to do that though.
If they were gonna kill him anyway, he should have just went to the deviant, and then that could have been your a bigger bad. You like what? That's like. That poet,
he couldn't live with the fact that he was going to betray Cersei. He couldn't live with that fact.
Exactly.
I didn't buy that at the end.
He loved to
kill himself.
So much.
I didn't buy it either.
He may not have loved humanity, but he loved that girl, and he was going to kill her. And he said, "What have I done?" He had his what have I done moment.
Time to be poetic.
Real quick.
Like he had never thought was probably gonna kill her up until that point. Like I might just have to kill her to make sure this stuff happens. Like that never crossed his mind before that moment. BS. But I'm sorry.
Well, funny enough, I watched it with my roommate Jaylene. She said she noticed that Icarus was probably gonna come out and be the bad from the get.
Yeah.
Whole thing. He was low key very jealous of Cersei the whole film for Cersei being the leader.
And being in love with Kit Harington.
I love that scene with Jon Snow and Robb Stark. Come on, that was nice. That's fan service right there.
What was the scene again?
They just like
near the beginning.
Yeah, at the very beginning, they just kind of like shook hands.
Oh, I thought they said something.
They said something. I can't remember. It was just cool because that's the reunion we never got on Game of Thrones. Because
right.
They died. Well, he died.
But I did forget to mention.
Oh, yes, do it.
I was just going to mention one of the characters we didn't mention, which is Quran. The guy with the camera.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Another reason why I like Kingo.
Do you like him?
We did.
He was fine. Yeah,
Yes.
I liked him.
He was doing his best. He had his cameras ready. He got off the scene.
He was very pure. He was very.
But was it too much?
pure.
Was it too much?
No,
it was not. I love that
Comedy
Sprite
bit,
kept
the
bringing-
comedy.
I would
the
go with-
comedy.
I would go as far as say he was actually necessary.
like he was one of the only human interactions they really had. Like Dane was in the beginning, but he was relatively consistent, and that was really
Right.
sweet when they were saying goodbye. You know, him thanking them, and he was so it was very pure.
It was.
We got Fastos's family too. I like them a lot better than Quran. I don't know.
It wasn't the same thing.
Porn comedy bit.
I liked Fastos. I didn't like his decision either, where he was really like adamant about not helping them to save the world, even though he has this family that he should want to protect.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so whatever. You eventually decided to go help them, but yeah. Other than that, I love Fastos. I liked his little family thing going on. I liked the thing at the end where like they were almost considering Athena to be like a babysitter in a way. I'm like, no, all those privileges are revoked. So I thought that was funny. I like that. But yeah, Fastos and Kingo for the win. Yeah.
Well,
for sure.
Real quick, we gotta mention this. Fastos, the first openly gay Marvel hero character.
Right.
Did they do a good job? I mean, not that they need to do a good. I mean, there's not like a check box you're supposed to do when introducing these types of things, but it felt natural, right?
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was fine. Yeah.
Right. It was fine. Right.
Yeah. It did.
Yeah.
They didn't really do anything that made it seem like they were trying to push something, which a lot of these scenes, when they incorporate this, you get that feeling in a way, like they kind of just shoehorned it in just to check a box, like you said. This one just felt natural. It was there. That was his life, and this is what he's fighting for. Move on, next scene.
Yes, I'm glad the rest of the Eternals are open about,
Yeah, they didn't even care. They didn't even question it. They didn't look at him and be like, oh, Fastos. Oh,
right.
Like they're like, oh, okay, he has a family. Yeah.
They've also been on, the Earth for like 7,000 years. So
Yeah.
I'm sure they've seen a variety of interactions.
They
between
should.
them.
I bet.
Sure.
I feel the same way about Makari as well, as far as just like, people use sign language and that's how we communicate. And we
Wait a
move
minute
forward.
now. Wait a minute now.
What?
How the hell they using ASL in 7,000 BC?
Asking the real questions.
Who
Well,
taught ASL 5,000 BC? America is not even there. How you got American Sign Language?
So I have no answer for that. All I was going to say is, I think in what we're talking about, just that people are different.
The
and that they
natural,
have-
yes.
Yeah, where it wasn't like, oh, this specific person, is gay, and so we need the pride flags in the background, and his whole entire storyline has to be about him being gay, which is like what Hollywood does like 97% of the time. And it's like, me being a queer person, I don't live my life and tell every single person, like, I have to let you know every single facet of my identity in this way. It's just like, yeah, I'm queer. Okay, I move on and do the things I need to do in my life. And that's a facet of me, but that's not the only part of me. And so I appreciated them being able to do that he has his family, here's his husband, here's his kid. And then they come back near the end. And I feel like they did the same as far as Makari is concerned. Like, yeah, she uses sign language. She communicates with her partners, her friends, her family, etc. And this is just how it is, because that's how it's like in families and whatnot. So I did appreciate that. It was just like, yeah, this is life, because people are diverse and people are, have different experiences. So I appreciated that.
Yeah, I would very much like to see more diverse casting in the future.
I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was saying, what were you saying?
Oh, one thing that would have been cool is if at the beginning she did have difficulty communicating with the family, and later on they learn American Sign Language. They could have used that as her backstory instead of her sitting in the ship. She could have been the person that invented American Sign Language.
Oh,
they could have done that. This is a lost opportunity.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
Because they said that she stayed in the building for 200-300 years. She was obviously defective in a way compared to the rest, where she couldn't speak. But they could have used that to say, oh, she actually did something and overcame her weakness. They decided not to do anything with her story, which sucks.
No, yeah, I felt like she was the most the least believable in terms of where she was during all this time. I just didn't buy that she was stuck on a ship for a couple hundred years, just reading books and just mellowing and
just,
like
it's
I didn't buy it.
That's all that she was doing, you know. It's lazy.
It was lazy. I was waiting for her too. I'm like, okay, we got Druid, we got Icarus, we got Cersei. Okay, we're going down the list. Where's this last one? And then she's on the ship. Oh, how convenient. There you are. That's where you've been the last couple centuries. I don't know.
She could have been running track, winning gold. Like, you know, like in Incredibles, like second place.
Oh, that's right.
Could have been doing that. But
7,000 years is a very long time. Like,
right. It is a long time.
Long time. Like, wow. What were you guys up
It
to?
is.
I agree. Yeah.
So I think we covered the story, talked about the action, the characters, what really didn't work. Let's kind of move on to probably like our final topic. Let's just talk about what's in store for the future. We have this film. It is overall divisive. Will we see more original films like this in the future? And they laid out some pieces on the chessboard. I don't know if you all found out who that voice was at the very end. Okay, everybody found it.
I didn't like how it was handled.
Tevin didn't know who that voice was at the end.
Voice.
Wait, do you know the scene that we're talking about?
Yeah, the credits at the end.
Yeah.
The story, yeah.
Who was it?
That's
Blade.
Mahershala.
Blade.
No, it's not.
It is.
No, it's not.
Chloe Zhao confirmed it.
Yes.
You see,
Yes.
look,
Yeah.
this reaction from Tevin is why I wish this scene was done better. Because
Showed us him. Come on.
it
Yeah,
what?
Okay,
it needed to be.
I didn't recognize his voice.
I didn't either.
Most people didn't.
That's an issue.
I heard it and I'm like, that's not him.
I was like,
That's
who the
not
heck is
him.
talking?
Who's talking? The thing with this end credit scene, at least with most MCU end credit scenes, you're supposed to leave with like something, like with anticipate, like Erica is saying, like, you know, you're screaming or you're excited or you want to know what's going to happen next. That's what end credit scenes do in Marvel movies. When they showed Kit Harington about to touch the sword, if they had ended it right there, I think that would have been enough, because then people would just be like, oh, okay, there's some magical sword with Kit Harington's character. Okay, that'll be interesting. But then they have that his voice, Ali's voice at the end, the entire theater, I heard like 3 to 4 different hums.
Right.
Like,
right.
no one knew what to say. And I was like, oh man, if only they knew, because that's hype. I'm excited that it's gonna be played.
You know before?
I when I heard his voice, because Ali's like one of my favorite actors.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Like he's like I love the guy. So when I heard his voice, I didn't know it was him initially, but there was only one other person that I thought, like, could it be him? I don't know. Let me see. And then I was literally on my phone in the theater checking. I'm like, oh wow, it is him. That is his voice. And I'm like, but why didn't you like show him, you know? Or
I'd rather they would did it. I'm sorry, Glenn. I'm sorry.
No. I mean, that's basically it. Like the thing is, they were banking on the voice being recognizable, and that's the problem. You know, like if you heard Robert Downey Jr.'s voice, I think people would hear and be like, "Oh wow, was that Iron Man? Iron Man's coming back! Oh my god!"
But we have like 10 years with Iron Man. That's the main difference.
We had years with Iron Man. We recognize.
Well, I've just seen many Mahershala performances. His voice, he could change and throw his voice and do a bunch of different voices a lot. So whatever voice he's got going for his interpretation of Blade, I didn't recognize it. So.
And this makes me upset. This makes me really upset. Let me tell you why this makes me upset.
Why does it make you upset, Tevin?
Why? Yes, tell us more.
I did not give a fuck about Harry Styles at all. Like,
we're going back to that credit scene.
No,
I did.
I'm sorry.
Who was Harry Styles? Who was Harry Styles?
One Direction. That's Harry Styles.
No. I mean, like in the credit scene. Who
He's
was it?
Arrows. He looked good.
He did look good in costume. He did.
It did little to nothing for me. I would have rather they would have did that with Mars. Like this is Marshall Ali. Like like the fact that we couldn't even tell that it was actually his voice, that even makes it even worse. Like that makes it even. This is Blade. This is the second coming of Blade as martial art. Like, are y'all serious? Like,
this is iconic, man. Blade. People really underplay Blade.
Yes,
because they usually go to when you hear, oh, what was the first successful Marvel movie? People will throw out Spider-Man or X-Men. That's the go-to. No, Blade was in 1998, and it was bomb. It was an amazing. The entire trilogy, the entire Blade trilogy is
100%.
And I'm not trying to respect to the dead, but like, there's Chadwick Boseman, and then there's Mahershala Ali. There's Scarlett Johansson. There's Angelina Jolie. Like, I love them all. I love them all, but it's just like,
it's a different tier.
It's a whole different like. Okay, I'm sorry.
I think they could have at least put him in costume and just
in costume, or show the face, like just the eyes or something.
Right, or the glasses. Yeah,
the glasses would be enough. The glasses would be enough. You could tell.
Motherfuckers on the desk, just sitting there, just like
right. Like, just that would have been great.
Oh my god,
that was a miss. Man, that's the worst part of the movie.
Is Kit Harington going to appear in Blade?
Yes, 100%.
Is that what that means?
Yeah.
Yes. Wait. Do we know who Kit Harington's character is?
Yes.
Do we know?
Being White Man? Yeah, you're talking about
Black Knight.
Black Knight.
Oh no.
Is that what you said?
No, I said. Wait, what?
What? Who? Who's where?
Wait, what? Okay, what?
Where are we?
He's Black Knight. He's playing
Black Knight. Yeah.
Right. Why?
Oh.
How?
Why is Gamora?
What?
No, there was a leak that recently leaked, and they just showed like all the people who's gonna be in each other's movies. So I knew he was coming, but he's about to be in Actually, never mind. I don't want to.
No, go ahead. You can.
No, yeah.
I don't want to. I don't want to give out misinformation. That's why. But
like, oh my gosh, it's okay.
Just say it. Yeah.
Put an asterisk in there.
No, I can't remember, but I just saw it like 2 days ago. But like there was a leak, and it talked about everybody who's gonna be in everybody's movie. Like like for example, they said one of the things, the Eternal shit with like the oceans get messed up, and that brings in Namor later. That's
it was Namor.
Huh?
Namor,
Aquaman of Marvel.
Yeah.
Who's an asshole? A bigger asshole.
There's kind of Aquaman.
Huh?
He's supposed to be in, Black Panther 2.
He was rumored to be appearing in Black Panther 2, but goodness, Black Panther 2 is all over the place right now.
Yeah, right now they shut down.
I think he still is. But yeah, they're just like, but yeah.
Wait, is that Namor guy supposed to be evil, good, neutral?
He's a gray.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Technically, he's a mutant too.
Okay.
Right. But yeah, we don't know. I don't know much about Eros. But if he's Thanos' brother, which is what he is,
I know he's the opposite of Thanos. He's not
crazy.
He's not crazy. I don't know if he's not a villain or not. But I know personality-wise, he's not as sadistic.
But they don't look alike either. So like, how are we supposed to know they're supposed to be brothers? Like, there's no similarity
we'll
all.
Get some more story bits.
There must be some weird genealogy stuff that goes on.
They did say he wasn't eternal, right?
He is.
In the movie.
Eternal. So is Thanos. Thanos is an eternal.
Yes,
but then it begs the question: if he's an eternal, then that means deviants were in some way involved in Endgame. So why didn't the Eternals come in and help?
Thanos is not a deviant.
That is true.
He has a deviant gene, though.
He has a deviant gene. Ooh.
Wait, does he?
No, he's purple because of his deviant gene. I read it this morning.
Right.
I actually read it this morning, which is really funny. But yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. That's
okay.
Why he has a deviant gene. They're both Eternals, but he's a different color because of his deviant gene.
Oh, interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I just don't know what to expect from Harry Styles. I mean, I guess it's cool.
I'm not gonna talk crap.
It's cool. It's fine.
Because he might do a great job. I think what happened is when I saw him, I got that same effect I got from Ed Sheeran in Game of Thrones. Like,
Cringe.
Oh,
Yeah,
singer?
cringe. Yeah.
It's not that bad.
No, when they were sitting around the fire and he
Yeah,
started singing. Yeah.
I liked Ed Sheeran in Game of Thrones. I stand by that cameo.
I did too, but I'm just saying it's still the truth of the matter is it's true. I did enjoy it too, but it did take me out the moment. I did go say that's not a guy saying. I was like, hey, that's Ed Sheeran, and so I was same thing. I was like, that's Harry Styles. Okay.
I will say it was spoiled for me, and I'm so upset.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was spoiled for me like a couple weeks ago.
Actually, that came out. It did come out.
Yes, a journalist.
Because I knew it too. I knew it was
Wait
coming.
like, revoke that person's credentials.
Wow.
We cannot have this.
Fire him.
Okay.
Or her. Wow.
You
That's
know,
crazy.
this is the end credit scenes are important and sacred. Y'all can't just be dropping that Harry Styles going to be in the movie. And so it did come out, and I was really disappointed because I knew it was happening. And I felt like the people that didn't know, like there are people like, ooh, like,
Right.
Oh shit, that's Harry Styles.
There were some
wanted it to be
behind
I wanted
me.
it to be that way.
There were some girls behind me fangirling for Harry Styles.
Yes, I
Yeah.
wanted to be one of those girls. Damn, I was so upset.
I'm sorry for you. I'm
All right.
seeing him again. Now you'll get to see him in full
Yeah.
on.
See more of him.
You know,
See more of him.
Yeah.
he'll be doing some cool stuff. And
Better.
yeah, I don't know what they're looking for other Eternals now to
Give
like
them free will.
give, or at least tell them what's
Tell them.
going on so they
Right.
can choose for themselves. And what now? The Eternals, what? They stopped the Celestials, so
Well, they paused them. Well, I
Yeah.
guess they kind of stopped the birth. They stopped one.
they stopped one.
Which I like. I like kind of like the landmark that it left on
It's
Earth.
it's a
the
freaking
hand.
giant hand, right?
And you see the head. Yeah. I like that. I like that because I know they're gonna use that as a landmark in future.
Someone
films.
climbing up and jumping off into the ocean, right?
They're gonna have an amusement park there. Just watch.
It's an amusement park. The roller coaster goes like intertwined between the fingers. I'm calling
Right.
it out. Yeah, the celestial what was the main
Arasham.
Arashem. He came in at the end. He's like, I'm gonna judge humanity, but I'm dealing with you three bastards first. And he takes Kingo, Cersei, and Sprite, right?
Phastos.
Oh, Phastos. Oh wait.
Because
Sprite
is not an Eternal anymore.
That's
She gets
right.
to grow up and have a life.
Ooh.
Which makes sense because they need a reason for her to reappear in future movies. Because they can't keep having her the same age for 10 years. So,
But she doesn't need to
guess.
come back. I don't think she even has powers anymore.
but she will be back.
They just said she's not an Eternal anymore.
Yeah, but
Maybe
she will
still
be
has
back.
Powers.
She don't need to come back. Grow up.
I don't want Sprite back. I didn't like her.
Grow up, little girl. Have fun. She gets to live the life Edward Cullen could never. So, her and Edward Cullen had
Oh
the
my
same
God.
dilemma. He had to keep repeating high school. She had to keep repeating elementary. Sucks to suck.
Ridiculous.
I'm being
It's like middle school. You know.
fine. Middle.
Middle school.
The worst years for a lot of people.
That is true. It's pretty horrific.
But will
But-
the Eternals now get to interfere? Right? Is that the thing moving forward?
I would
At least on
think.
Earth, can they help?
I think they would help because they already they basically bit the hand that fed them, like the
Yeah.
Celestials. So they kind of don't really care about their orders or their creeds. So I think now we'll see more Eternal action. Like we'll see them. I'm even expecting them to be in Guardians of the Galaxy at this point because I could see them crossing paths in some way.
Yeah, they're very the space aspect.
Space.
So it makes more sense that they interact with like the Guardians or Thor. I mean, Kingo said
Right.
Thor used to chase him around. Did y'all hear that?
I did, yeah. I like that. Yeah, it was a little line that he mentioned where he said, yeah, Thor used to chase me around and he looked up to me. Now he's the god of thunder."
Right.
I like that.
They got to Asgard or what they were doing on Asgard. I guess they got
Right.
it, but whatever.
I mean, you're on for 7,000 years. Like you're gonna get around. You're gonna get around.
Right. But all right. I think it's time we just go ahead and give our final ratings on this film. I'll step up to the plate. It's
Set
a
the
C.
standard.
It's a C. It's a low C. It's not a D. It's a C. Fix up the pacing. And the more we talked about it, I think, yes, this series would have worked great this movie would have worked great as a series. You can still give it this time and have these same actors. But yeah, I think it would have been better as a series. Just flesh out some stuff, and you're not having to meet that runtime problem. You can take your time.
I felt that
and whatnot. I felt the time the whole time. I was like, man, this is dragging. So I think I would have appreciated it as a series more. I would have liked to see Salma Hayek more too. And Cersei, she was cool, but I don't know. It's a C film for me. I want more, but y'all did make me give it a C. I was leaning towards a D earlier, so.
Right. No, mine's kind of in the same ballpark. Even when before we started, it kind of nothing's changed. My opinion. Nothing's changed. I mean, no, it's okay. Okay. It's literally a low C. It's a low C for me. I cannot give it that D rank just because it did stuff that I did like, and the movies in my D category, at least on my tier list, like there was a lot of bad things in those films. I just cannot in good conscience put it in the same category as those. Most of the films that I would consider C rank, they're like, the typical Marvel formula type of films, like your subpar movies that just kind of go with the flow and they don't really say or do anything. I feel like this movie's in C tier, not because it follows the Marvel formula, but because it introduces new ideas that Marvel, I think, needs to tackle in new and interesting ways. But the execution, I just didn't buy how some of these were executed, so it puts it that low in the generic Marvel C tier range, where it's not generic like those other movies, but they needed to do better with this. I would have preferred it as a series, like DoctaReeka mentioned earlier. Underutilized actors and actresses like Angelina Jolie and Ajax. Like, I love seeing those women in their roles in other movies, but you have these S tier actresses. You don't have them do anything. But whatever.
Tina didn't have to do much. She's still cool.
She didn't have to do much. Okay. Here's the thing with Tina. I liked when she was on screen and what she did. I wish there was more. I just wanted a little bit more. Right. And I would have been fine. But then Ajax was just a disservice. She was
deserved. Right.
Right. And I cannot stand by that. So it's definitely a C for me. Low C's. Teetering on D, but it's not a D film. That's where I stand on Marvel's The Eternals.
I guess I can go. Initially I said it was a B when I was talking to Dr. Chase yesterday, but after thinking about it and sleeping, the movie was not as good. It wasn't as bad as Captain America, but it's a solid C. So yes, it's a solid.
This slander, man, you gotta stop.
I'm not gonna stop.
You do have to stop.
I'm not gonna stop. Every single day, y'all gonna convert and agree with me at one point or another. Captain America is a F movie, but this movie was a solid C. Let's not bother with other garbages. But yeah, it was a decent movie. It wasn't amazing. Maybe in the future, when we rewatch the movie, we might notice stuff that we didn't realize the first time, especially at the movie theater. There are probably little things that we didn't notice in the background, which that happened with me with the previous of Marvel movies. When we rewatched them, I noticed little things I didn't notice the first time. So the rating might go up in the future, but for now, it's just a solid C. It was a fun watch.
Go lower.
No, let's stop there. It was a fun watch, but it was a little bit too long at time, and yeah.
No, I'll let you close off. I know you're gonna say something great. Oh my gosh. Sorry, people calling me.
Oh my gosh, how embarrassing.
Like I said, I give it a solid 75. I give it a 75.
That's a C.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just making sure.
I don't think anything could be worse than the Thor films, and so I enjoyed it. I don't know. Everybody said the pacing and they were bored, but like I was awake and conscious the whole movie. I like the visuals. There were some great visuals in there. Like even just looking at the Celestials, I was like, wow. Like the eyes, and he was very like it was very. I thought it was a very nice looking movie. I loved the different diaspora of people. Angelina Jolie just such a fucking star. Like she's a star. Like she could just sit there and eat an apple on screen, and I'm just like, you're just amazing. How do you eat that apple like that? Like just everything. Like I'll tell you, and it was weird because she's a leading lady, so it was already weird. The whole time I was like, I'm looking at her as a side character right now, and it's just hard to accept. It's really hard to. Every time she's on screen, like I want more. Like, I'm thirsting for more Angelina Jolie in every part of this. Like it's just, I'm so grateful. The whole movie, it's not really about her, but like the whole movie, I was like, please don't kill her. Please don't kill her, because I want to see her interact with Scarlet when she comes back. I want to see her interact with Wanda. I want to see her interact with like is she not arguably the biggest star in this whole franchise?
Yeah, I mean she'd be up there. Yeah, she's definitely up there. Like when they bagged her, that was huge.
There's Matt Damon as stage Loki, right?
Yeah.
And he will be back in Thor 4.
He will be back.
Yeah, I loved it. And I say the plus side about them killing people off, maybe now that the cast is smaller, they'll get more of that intimate time. And then we just got to grow with them from this point on. Or I think, like you said, a series would have been best. Just a day to flesh out everybody. Like we really don't know who these people are for real, or what drives them to go through, their day-to-day process and stuff like that. But luckily for them, Eternals is so new and, and fresh to a lot of people. They still have a lot of time to to fix a lot of mistakes that they've made in this movie. Like there's a lot of time to grow with this series. And they did enough for me where I'm excited. I enjoyed the movie. It was good enough for me. Maybe I need to watch it again in my household. It was at the movies, and I took a shot or two before I went to the movies. But but I enjoyed it. That's all. I enjoyed it. It was a good watch. No complaints. They messed up with that Marshall Ali thing. I don't like that. That's really messed up. But
you should have left the theater screaming, but you didn't.
I enjoyed it. Nothing's worse than Thor.
Okay.
and actually, speaking on characters that died, we might see them come back to some capacity because they have the memories in the celestial chamber, wherever that's
right. Yeah.
So we might see Gilgamesh again. We might see justice for Ajax. We might see something. You never know. But...
Oh, one more thing. Lay off Sprite. Sprite wasn't really that bad. Like,
nope.
Not that.
Nope.
Bad.
Let's just move on.
I wish we could figure out why she was in a kid's body. Like, what was the purpose of that? But yeah. And also, y'all don't want her to come back. I hope she comes back later. I did. Maybe she's grown. Years have passed. She's grown up, and
she's a better character. Yeah. I would like to see her come back in that capacity.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if I have anything novel to add. I agree about the C range. I think when I usually rate films out of 5, I was like at a 2.5, 3. Not because like I disliked it, but because I felt things just the way it was executed left me kind of wanting something different. Mm-hmm. So I genuinely like enjoyed it. Like I sat there and there were characters I liked and interactions I liked and fight scenes, etc. I think a lot of it intrigued me. And I think I said this to y'all in the chat even before the movie came out, that I was pretty open to risk taking, even if it didn't quite work out in that way. And I feel the same. Like, I'd rather they tried something different and it's a miss, so they know to do something a little, let's tweak it in the future, rather than keep coming out the same exact thing over and over again. Like, I'd watch it regardless because I am a Marvel fan, but it keeps me kind of on my toes as far as like, okay, they are trying something different. They're trying to mold, where the series goes in the future in a different way. So I can appreciate that and appreciate the craft and what it looks like and all the hard work that went into it. I certainly think that there were just things left hanging that I wanted more from that. Yeah, I'm gonna keep plugging the series that I feel like, a longer time with these characters could have allowed us to have some of that. So yeah, I think C range feels like it matches with me. So, but what I will say is I hope Marvel doesn't take this as like let's not try cool or different things in the future. Like, I think it's projected to be like 69.5 or 70 million for the weekend. And so I just hope that they don't, as far as like the critics reviews and all that, like they're like, okay, let's go back to like what we were doing initially. No, like keep trying new things. I think we saw with WandaVision, with Loki, with even Falcon and Winter Soldier. What if we had, all of us, I think, had our issues with some of those, but we're also very much intrigued by just attempts to do something a little bit different. Yeah, so that's how I feel.
I think Marvel should definitely keep pushing the envelope and bring in these directors who can give a different eye to what they've been doing, and they'll get hits or they'll get misses. But I would love to see Chloe Zhao come back and do like in Eternals too, build off of what she didn't get right and fix it up. But I think she did a good job in overall direction. I think choices are questionable, but Marvel should not look at this and be like, let's go back to what we were doing before. We don't want stagnation. We want originality and we want creativity. And that's why we're here. That's why we come. And again, y'all got so much money. You're allowed to make mistakes. You know,
be risky.
$200 million budget. That's a lot of money. That's a big budget film. So even if they don't make it back, the next 5 films will make it back in tenfold. You know, you have the money to make mistakes, so do it. You can. And
Spider-Man's next too. That's about to make a lot of money.
That
movie might be the highest grossing movie of all time if the things that we think are gonna happen in that movie happen. Like for real. That movie's about to make dumb money. Like there's
dummy thick money. Yeah.
Right. So I do need to go rewatch this movie. Yeah, I'll probably watch it at my home. Maybe I'll like it better. Who knows? And I'm sure we might all like it better too. Maybe they'll listen to our podcast and hear how this would be better as a series. Don't do Eternals 2. Do Eternals the series. Disney Plus put that money. All those Disney Plus shows got the money of a movie budget. So just do the same and make it a series.
Easy.
Marvel, I hope you're listening. But I think that wraps up our discussion here at the table. Thank you all for coming. TevintheFifth, DrReeka, Toasty, and as always, Dr. Jace and myself. Y'all go watch this movie. If you're a Marvel fan, you got to give it time. We stand Thena, and that's the only one you really need to come see. And there's a lot to be waiting for more in the future. So here at the table, I'm GrandMasterHoop. Everybody else, take care.